I'm George Curtis. Welcome to It's Your Environment. Each week it's my privilege to bring guests that educate all of us on our environment. What's at stake, what's at risk, what we've been doing to it, and what we can do better. We are blessed here in the state of Wisconsin with a fantastic breadth of environment. We haven't always treated it well. When I was a young person chasing grouse and collecting wood ticks in northern Wisconsin, I thought chasing grouse was just the most exciting thing in the world. Deer hunting was good. But the old timers were telling me about the good old days when there were just millions of pigeons flying and they were extinct. And there were turkeys. I couldn't fathom what a turkey was, but they were extinct. And there were timber wolves, and they were extinct. And there had been elk, and they were extinct. And those were frightening stories to me as a youngster around the fire. But many people have recognized how precious our resources are, and they've done a lot about it. Today's program is about turkeys. They're not extinct in Wisconsin. We've got an expert who knows as much about it as anybody does as to why we have a healthy, thriving population of wild turkeys in the state of Wisconsin. We've got some elk. We have some timber wolves. We have taken some responsibility for our resources and some respect for future generations. You've heard enough from me. I want you to hear from my guest, Butch Koch. I've known him for quite a while, and he's a legend in many areas, but especially a pro on turkeys. Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you, George. Thanks for inviting me. And when George invited me to come and talk on turkeys, which I can do pretty well, I like to do that, I told him the timing was perfect because I had just, for the second time, tried to introduce the wild turkey as the state game bird to the legislature. And it's a slow process. I started in January, and when he called, I got word that they were just starting to introduce these things, and now, in the week or so that it's been since he called, there is an Assembly Bill, S 585, and a Senate Bill 584 that have been introduced. And I'm not any expert on legislative process. George would be more of that, but it's a slow process anyhow. First of all, the bills that are introduced say the wild turkey is a state game bird and the ruffed grouse is the state upland game bird. And the reason that came about is the last time I tried this about 10 years ago, the opposition was really from the ruffed grouse people. They wanted that to be the state game bird. And now turkeys and ruffed grouse are both classified as upland game birds, but I don't think the turkeys, I look at them like a big game animal. They have a scoring system just like Pope and Young, where you measure the weight of the bird, you get the length of the beard times 2 and the length of the spurs times 10, and that gives you a score. And so it's a kind of a scoring system so you can see how you're doing on things anyhow.
Well, I hadn't seen a wild turkey in the state of Wisconsin until I was in my 50s, which is a while ago. How did they come back?
Okay, they were totally wiped out from market hunting, from loss of habitat, and from poultry diseases in the late 1800s, I think 1891. And so then, as you said, the old people remembered all this stuff. So then in 1976, I don't know if it was the Conservation Commission, I think at that time. It wasn't called the DNR, but they traded 135 ruffed grouse to the state of Missouri for 45 wild turkeys. And once they got those wild turkeys to the state, they took them over to the driftless area, the southwest portion of the state, and they planted them there. They would set them out in different places, different groups of them. And as happens with any time you reintroduce a new species, they really thrive. And so they were doing really well over there. In fact, I talked to some of the DNR people that were involved in that project anyhow, and they said, yeah, the farmers will come in and they're complaining, oh, we got all these damn turkeys around. and the DNR people would say to them, maybe we should, we got all those turkeys, maybe we should trap some of them and move them out and spread them out a little more somewhere else. The farmers, well, how many are you going to take? They were protective of them also, but they wanted to complain about something anyhow. And so now, because of that trapping and transplanting them, there's turkeys in all 72 counties, huntable populations of turkeys. They're not only huntable, but they're visible to all the other people too, which is a really good thing anyhow. And so that's how they got spread out. Actually, the native land for the turkeys before in the 1800s was a line from Green Bay to Prairie du Chien. Anywhere south of there was turkeys. But now they're all over. I think the weather is a little bit more accommodating to them now too. So that's how we got the turkeys in the country anyhow. It's been a real triumph. I think the reintroduction of turkeys in the state and probably in the nation too has been the most successful reintroduction of any species ever, because they're thriving all over. There's turkeys all over the country now, and they're doing well.
I've been a lifetime hunter and never killed a turkey, and that would probably describe most hunters in Wisconsin, because of my age group, there weren't a lot of turkeys at that particular time, and then we reach an age and stage where killing is the least important part of the hunt. I have no desire to kill a turkey, but I am delighted to see them. And do we have healthy, natural reproduction so that we don't ever have to face the idea of extinction of turkeys in Wisconsin again?
At this time we do. I can't speak for the future. You never know what's going to happen. But yeah, they're reproducing naturally. And turkeys are a feed crop for all the predators. It takes like 100 wild turkey eggs to make two adult gobblers. So they feed a lot of other game and stuff too.
Now, we have an 8-minute segment here and it's nearly gone. I want you to indicate if there is a group, and I think I get the hint of it right on your shirt, that is doing a great deal to rebuild the turkey population.
There is. It's the National Wild Turkey Federation, and they were instrumental in this first reintroduction and things. And they're alive and well, and I don't know how many chapters we have in the state, but there's quite a few chapters of the National Wild Turkey Federation, and those chapters raise funds for habitat and for game.
Well, you are certainly a great example of why people should care, should join, should get educated, and should participate. And someday I'm going to get you back and we're going to do a longer show because of the depth of your knowledge. But that's all the time you get today.
That's it, huh?
Thank you.
Thank you, George.
We'll be right back. People often ask me, how much insurance do I need? Well, it's a gamble. It's a gamble to buy more insurance than you ever need. It's a bigger gamble to need insurance and not have purchased enough. The real gamble is not being an educated consumer. I want you to do what nobody does. Read your policy and understand it. Maybe get more than one quote from more than one agent, so you really are a self-advocate. Insurance is important, especially when you need it. Welcome back to It's Your Environment. I'm George Curtis, and today we're learning about turkeys. Probably the greatest success story environmentally in the history of Wisconsin. It's really impressive, but like everything else, it doesn't happen by accident. It happens because dedicated, knowledgeable, selfless people are making it happen. My second guest is Laura Koch. You happen to be related to my first guest.
I do.
How long have you been married?
4 months.
I see. I suspect you knew him before
Yes.
the 4 months ago, and you knew
Right.
that
Yeah.
this guy lives and breathes turkeys.
Exactly.
And
right.
so you got with the music, played the game, and you got into it yourself.
Right. At his invitation.
And tell us how that developed.
Well, I never grew up in a turkey or a hunting family at all. It was all new to me. But a few years ago, I joined the Fox Valley chapter of the National Wild Turkey Federation, and we started doing all kinds of volunteer work to raise money for habitat restoration and so forth. And I met lots of people, including Butch, who were very active in all different areas of hunting, but especially turkeys. And I had a chance to accompany Butch on several hunts over the last few years. So helping set up the blind, set up the decoys, scout the area, find out what are good areas for hunting turkeys. And so about a year ago, he asked me if I would like to try to hunt a turkey. And didn't take me long to think, yes, I think it would really be exciting to try. There's quite a process through the DNR. You have to apply by December 10th of the year before. And so we put in our requests for the time zone we wanted and the hunting zone we wanted. And then in late winter, we got our approvals. So another really important consideration is hunter safety. I didn't have to take a course because of my birth date. I was grandfathered in, but Butch and his brother, John, had taught hunter safety for many years to the youth in our area, so he knew exactly the kind of things that were important for me to know. So when we went out target practicing, we practiced gun safety at the same time, not only using the gun, but being around other people with a gun. So that all worked out very well. Now, he had shot 51 turkeys with a bow and arrow, which is quite a feat. His goal was 50, and now he had 51, and that's when he thought I should really have a chance to maybe put our energies into helping me get a turkey if I wanted to. So then we were ready to start our hunt. The day was beautiful. We had, fortunately, the first hunting periods, and it was opening day. Gorgeous weather, and we had to be there very early because sunup was 6:12 that day a.m. So we wanted to be all set and established, have our decoys out, and we'd already set up our hunting blind a couple days before so that we wouldn't be making too much commotion there that morning. So we were all set and watching for turkeys to come through. Fortunately, about 7 o'clock, one came right out of the woods across from us and walked around a bit. But now here's the thing, you can only shoot a tom turkey in the spring turkey hunt. And a tom is usually bigger, they're usually brighter, and most of all, they have a beard. That's the most important thing. You have to shoot a turkey with a beard in the spring hunt. So I had binoculars there, and I looked, and I just wasn't convinced I could see a beard. I imagined there was one, but pretty soon he turned. Just as he walked back toward the woods, I could see his beard, but it was too late by then for me to take a shot. So we watched, and then about 8 o'clock, another turkey came through, and he walked right over near our decoys and actually stopped for a moment. He was only about 20 yards away. So I thought, there's my shot, and I took it, and he dropped right there. I could hardly believe it, but there he was. So we scurried out, and we brought the bird back near our blind to get him out of the way, and we wanted to quickly regroup and be ready for Butch to have a shot, because he definitely wanted me to take the first shot if I had one. So we waited, and then about 9 o'clock, two beautiful toms came strutting along, and we could hear them rustling for some time before they came into view. I was hoping it wasn't another hunter or somebody that would interfere with our hunt, but no, it was two beautiful toms, and Butch took a look and figured out which one was the best shot and took a shot, and he dropped his right there as well. So by 9 o'clock of opening day, we had our toms. Now, it sounds really easy. I made it sound like turkey hunting is very easy, but it's not. It's very difficult. Turkeys are very wary. You can't let them see anything in the blind. We had to keep just a very small opening in the windows of the blind because they'll notice any movement. They have very good hearing. So there are a lot of things like that. We called to them. Butch is an expert caller, and he has lots of different calls. So in order to get them over, we use some calls. That's about the only thing you want them to hear while you're in the blind. So we took some pictures and had fun doing that, and took down the blind and got everything packed away. I would just like to mention one other thing about Butch and turkey hunting especially, is that he has shot 2 2/3 grand slams, which means one of each of the 4 different subspecies that are found in our country. The easterns are found here in Wisconsin all the way to the east coast. The Osceolas are in the southern 2/3 of Florida. The Rio Grandes are in Texas, and the Merriams are in the Dakotas, and then west from there, a little bit south. So in the last 2 weeks, we visited the Wisconsin Bow Hunters Museum over in Clintonville, and he donated a Grand Slam for them, which they have hanging on the entrance to the museum. These are mounted turkey tails, by the way, very beautifully mounted with signs where they came from. And then we also visited the Omro Bow Hunters facility over in Omro. It's a beautiful facility where people go and practice shooting, bow hunting. And so all of these 2 2/3 Grand Slams were taken with a bow, which is just amazing. It's quite a feat. He has 1 turkey left to go. I said we have 2 2/3 Grand Slams, but he still needs 1 more Osceola turkey. So in the spring, we hope to go down to Florida, and he'll hopefully get another one, and then we'll have a Grand Slam for ourselves.
Well, I have known of his passion for turkeys for some time, but it seems that you've inhaled it yourself.
Well, I've been around a lot of really interesting people who love to do it and are experts at it, and it's a natural resource. He's already explained all about the reintroduction and how bountiful they are, and we see them everywhere, and we loved eating it. Those 2 huge turkeys have provided at least 16 meals for us, and I think we still have some in the freezer, so there's a useful component to it as well.
Well, it is delicious if it's prepared properly.
Right.
I think that is certainly a wonderful dinner. I have a son that's a turkey hunter, and he leaves the tough parts for me. What do you do with those legs?
Steam them in a big Nesco roaster all day with a little cup of water.
Well, they're delicious, and I think that's what my wife does. But the first time I did it by myself,
it can be tough.
It was a test.
Right. No, we've enjoyed eating them, but it's just, to know somebody like Butch who has such a passion for it and has shared that passion with so many people through all of his hunter safety classes. I mean, we go in the community and young people come up. I remember you from hunter safety. So it's a pleasure to be involved in something.
He has been a missionary.
Yes.
And he certainly picked the right partner, even though you and I know you did the picking. We're out of time, but thank you so much for being on the show.
Thanks for having us here today.
We'll be right back. People often ask me, do I need a will? I don't do wills. However, I do litigation in experiences when people have not had a clear plan for their estate and the people they wanted to be beneficiaries in it. You can avoid that heartache and expense for your family by having a clear plan, but the only time you can do it is when you're still alive. And the best time is now. Welcome back to It's Your Environment. I'm George Curtis, and we have our 3rd guest of the day, a real professional. Nothing seems to happen by accident. It takes intelligent, educated, dedicated, focused people who want it to happen. Like I learned from a vice president many, many years ago, things iron themselves out when everybody's ironing. And I want you to meet somebody who does a lot of ironing when it comes to the biggest game success story in the history of Wisconsin, turkeys. Mr. Bohn, you're a neighbor of ours from Washera County. I live out there by Rush Lake, and you have family and relatives in Washera County, but you're a professional in the turkey game, aren't you?
Yes, George, yes. I work for the National Wild Turkey Federation. I'm the director of annual giving in our development department, which means I work with major donors across the upper Midwest and really across the country. But for many years before this last year, I worked in a variety of roles with NWTF in our fundraising and chapter system. I was a regional director for a lot of years. I was director of field operations for the Midwest. And so I worked with chapters and volunteers to raise dollars so NWTF could do its mission work. And that's how I met Butch and Laurel. And, the great joys of my job has been working with folks like that.
And there are chapters then all over the country?
Yes, yep, all over the country. Yep.
And you publish a magazine?
Yes, we have Turkey Call magazine, and anybody that's a member gets Turkey Call. And I see a few of them in your office, and you're a member of ours, so appreciate that.
Well, we'll blame Butch for that.
Yeah.
Butch got me into turkeys. I don't remember how or why, and I just find them so fascinated. I've never hunted one, but they are such immensely interesting, wary birds, and they're on my farm. They live around the house, and they're hard to sneak up on, and I play games with them. I've never just shot at one or needed to, but you must have chapters then. How many in total in this country?
Countrywide, I'd have to guess probably around 1,200 or so. It could be more than that, so don't hold me to that number. Here in Wisconsin, it's I think we're probably around 70 or 80 right now. And the volunteers make it happen for us. They're where the rubber meets the road. They're the ones that do a lot of the work for us with fundraising and getting members. And of course, you can't do anything unless you've got a voice with the membership and dollars to fund the work. And here in Wisconsin, the work that we do for NWTF, we've been able to match the dollars we raise at our local fundraising banquets or with major donors. 27-1 is the average the last 5 years. So for every dollar we raise at a banquet or with a major donor, here in Wisconsin, we're able to match that up 27-1 to put work back on the ground.
And that is even more impressive in that you are competing with other organizations that want every dollar. You're competing with Ducks Unlimited, Pheasants Forever, the grouse people, the fish people, and that sort of thing. And in Wisconsin, we have strong organizations with regard to all of those species and more.
Oh, sure. It's competition, I suppose, in a way that, we might have fundraisers that are trying to vie for the same people to come or whatever support, but the reality is we work in partnership with a lot of these organizations to do sort of the same thing. We're sort of all on the same team. We're just representing different animals and different projects. But at the end of the day, when sportsmen are united and groups are united, we tend to get a lot of work done.
Well, I think it's generally recognized that what the turkey people have done in Wisconsin is the most outstanding turnaround in the history of wildlife. But I'm sure you have more to do. What are your goals?
Very good question. Like Butch had mentioned, the reintroduction of the wild turkey has been wildly successful. But we have noticed a decline, especially in certain parts of the country, where turkey numbers just aren't what they were at their high water mark here about 10 years ago or so. So a tremendous amount of effort lately has gone on at NWTF to figure out what's creating population decreases, how we can reverse trends, how we can improve poult production and nest success. We just released a new initiative for the Midwest. It's called Roots to Roost, and Wisconsin falls under that, where we're looking at managing grasslands, savannas, woodlands. We're bringing in private landowners and educating them on how to manage their properties better and giving them resources to help make a difference for wild turkeys and really all upland species. So we've also been working hard on funding research and professorships that are dedicated strictly to wild turkey research and management. So there's a lot going on with the National Wild Turkey Federation, and it's a good time to get involved. And we couldn't do it again without our volunteers and our donors and our supporters and our partners.
Well, the magazine, and I read it regularly, is very good about conservation, healthy land, crops, things like that. We have to be better stewards of our land and understand that poisons, pesticides, herbicides, other things that we put on the land to make it more profitable actually is potentially quite destructive to the health of the other critters that we share this planet with.
That's correct, yeah. Farmers and ranchers are some of our biggest supporters, and they're also very invested in land management for crop production, but land use is a particular item of interest for us because, like you mentioned, the environment in which these farms exist, and that we need their resources and their profits and their crop also as a home to wildlife. So it's got to be a balance, and so the education part comes in big time for that.
Well, as landowners, farmers, or other landowners, we have to understand that we really don't own all of that. We're stewards, and part of our stewardship is the wildlife and the health of the wildlife that is there, and we hope is there for future generations. We already screwed up and totally eliminated some species. We were fortunate enough, as Butch pointed out, to make a swap and get turkeys back in our territory. But there are many species that are gone forever because we didn't have organizations like yours to protect us and educate us.
Yes, sadly, we've lost species. You'd mentioned a number of them that had been extirpated and that were gone from Wisconsin that originally were here and across the United States. Wild turkey remains the absolute sterling example of what conservation work can do. And with partnerships, we brought turkeys back, we've brought elk back into the state and across the country, and we're going to continue to work on those together. And it is a fragile resource. It needs constant management and support, and it's an ongoing thing. I remember when I first started with NWTF as a regional director of 17 years ago, people would come to our banquets and they'd say, "Hey, I really love this banquet, but there's turkeys all over the place. I really don't know what we're supporting." And that's because we had a lot of turkeys at the time, but now that populations have kind of settled down and decreased, people are coming back and they see the need again.
Well, it's a great profession you're in, and you're working for all of us, and we're out of time. Thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you, George. Thanks for having us today.
My pleasure. Our country is blessed with many wildlife organizations. Some of them are primarily fundraisers and parties. Most of them do something very good for the environment and the wildlife that belongs to us, and more importantly, future generations. None has been more successful than the National Turkey Federation. These people work hard, are scientific, organize, fundraise, protect the species that they're protecting throughout the country, and they have great banquets. If you're looking for a conservation group, I recommend this one. We'll see you at the banquet.